Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the second week of our 8-part workshop series. Today, we'll be focusing on managing cravings. Thank you for joining us today. Very happy to see all of you here. We're going to hear a little bit more from all of us. I just want to quickly introduce the rest of our Global Chemsex Toolbox team. My name is Justin. I'm based in Los Angeles. Jorge is based in Lisbon. Ignacio is in London. We're going to hear from all of us shortly. Ignacio has been hearing from people all over the world for years about this growing need to provide new solutions and resources for people struggling with chemsex. People seeking support are coming to us from all different places, joining us from rehab, from 12-step programs and therapy. We wanted to create a new resource where people could learn from home, stay anonymous, work at their own pace, and we wanted to keep this free so that people all around the world could find specific chemsex support, whether they live in a big city or remote areas around the world. Just want to elevate for everybody that starting next week, London is springing ahead with their clocks tonight, so all remaining workshops will be starting at the new times that you see on the screen here. London will stay the same at 1900, 7 p.m. The rest of us will meet an hour earlier, depending on where you are, so just be sure you take notice of that time change all around the world when you log in next week. As a quick reminder, this workshop's not intended to be a replacement for therapy. It's really rather one of many tools in your toolbox. If you go to the bottom of our homepage at globalchemsextoolbox.com, you'll see additional resources linked at the bottom of the page. You can find a lot of resources there, links to professionals for help. So please spend some time on that. Spend a lot of time on our site overall. There's a lot of great articles, blog posts, video links, written exercises, and everything else you'll need. We'd love to see where everyone's located. So please tell us in the Q&A feature where you're joining us from, your city, your state. And just a few more reminders, we're going to be working today and every Saturday through May 11th. These will be 60 to 90 minutes. We're going to work with Ignacio, the founder of Controlling Chemsex. We'll be doing some written exercises together. We're also going to be hearing from everyday people all around the world, sharing their recorded video testimonials with us, all about their experiences of recovery from chemsex. And we'll also have a few cameos from some other well-known personalities from our community who you may recognize, also sharing their stories and encouragement for all of us. You might want to take notes on paper, or you could start a note on your phone. You can email yourself. Whatever you do, we encourage you to keep track of these notes so you can always refer to them when you need them. We're going to work off the Global Chemsex Toolbox website. We'll walk you through where exactly to find all the materials when you need them. And we're also going to have breaks in the presentation to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to use the Q&A feature. If we can't get to all of your questions, we'll do our best to answer some of those on the Instagram page. And then finally, a video recording will be made available to you, and you'll be able to access all of these episodes yourselves, all of these workshops yourself. Finally, I promise I'll hand it over to Ignacio and Jorge and the rest of the group. We wanted to kick off with we've been doing a lot of testimonial videos of people from all over our community. We asked them a bunch of questions, and we put a compilation video together for people and their management of triggers and cravings. So we're going to show that now. I need to make sure I make Jorge host. There you are. Sorry about that. Change. Thank you. So, when people can't resist the temptation to continue having chemsex, even when they're trying not to use drugs and chems, it's usually because they're unaware of how to deal with their cravings, right? The desire to experience the positive effects of the drugs, or the idea of connection, or the expectation of having amazing sex. They also give in to the temptation because something unexpected happens that triggers this need of using, right? It could be an unexpected message on WhatsApp from somebody who you used to use chems with. It could be an argument with your partner. It could be a last-minute dinner cancellation from a friend. Preparing a strategy to address cravings and identifying these potential triggers can really make a huge difference when you're seeking more control in your life. We're going to teach you some practical and effective ways to manage this and more today. But first, we wanted to share a quick video compilation of a few community members who spoke to us about managing cravings and triggers.
Managing cravings, especially in the beginning, was really, really, really difficult.
Relapse is a part of my story, and it's because my cravings.
It's engineered to be as addictive as it is. The best way that I manage it is I threw myself into the program.
Worked my way through the cravings by working with my counselor, talking about it with people, going to meetings and all of that.
What I must do in those cravings is kind of zoom out to a larger picture of everything to see it for what it is, because what goes up must come down.
It's just a craving and it will peak and you'll reach your crest and then the urge will go away and dissipate.
Avoiding going certain places for sure.
Through time and with the work and with the healing that took place, those cravings eventually got less intense.
Thank you, Jorge. Let's also hear from Chemsex advocate, Dr. David Fawcett, a well-known author and heavily relied upon for a substance use expert, sex therapist, psychotherapist. He's based in Florida, and we're going to be hearing from David every week as we had some lengthy conversations with him and some segments that he'd like to share with you. David wanted to speak for a quick minute about cravings and our tendency to glamorize the highs, and as he says, cherry pick the good parts only. This is another quick video, about a minute, minute and a half, and afterwards I'll hand it over to Ignacio in London to take over.
Is to really think about the last time or times they've used. Any addict will cherry pick the good parts of the experience, right? They remember how high they might have felt or how good they felt at some point, or maybe they had some hot sex, or maybe they had just a really great experience that they were able to disconnect from problems in their lives. But I think it's also really important not to just cherry pick, but to look at the whole experience. And we often need an accountability partner or someone to help us walk through this. So how good was that experience really? Right? What about the times you felt sick? What about the shame afterwards? What about the time you were, you didn't have great sex, but you were there for days on end, feeling lonely and disconnected? What about the times that you really hurt someone you love when you didn't show up for a day or 2 days or 3 days? So really to have a realistic view at the whole experience, right? And in 12-step program, they talk about keeping it green, right? We remember the pain. We remember the pain we caused other people and how ashamed we were and the remorse we felt. Don't just be tempted to cherry pick the good stuff, but remember the whole experience.
Thank you, Jorge. Our tech issues are nice and smooth this week. I'm going to hand it over to Ignacio, founder of Controlling Chemsex, to walk us through the rest of the workshop.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today because we are going to offer you a strategy that probably you have never heard before. And the reason why we are exploring these problems with cravings so soon, just after we start the course, is because if you don't want to use between today and next week, and you have cravings and you don't know how to deal with them, it's very likely that you will fail. So it's very important to set very powerful strategies. What we are going to do today, I need you guys, all of you, to have paper and a pen, because we are going to need or the iPad or tablet, somewhere where you can note things down. And I will stop the exercise. This is going to be a very intense exercise. I will stop the exercise at some point for you. If you have questions, please send the questions over. We will answer the questions as soon as possible. And what is important here is that we have to understand that we don't always think the same about chemsex. It's not the same if you haven't used in 2-3 weeks, for example, and the idea is exciting and it makes you feel horny and is appealing. That if you have been 2 days high and you are tired and you say, oh my God, and you try to take something, to take some dinner to see if you can carry on. It's not the same if you used 2 days ago and you are exhausted and then you feel guilty or you feel ashamed. So we need to understand that what we feel today Saturday, 10 minutes past 10 in London, is not necessarily what you are going to be feeling next Friday, for example, when maybe the idea of using is very appealing. So what we are going to do is we are going to put all these things in the same place. What is what I like? What is what I feel before when I haven't used for a while? What is what I feel after? And what we are going to do is we're going to go to work through 3 different lists. One is what good things of using, bad things of using, and good things of not using. Cravings work the same for any kind of addictive behavior. It works the same if you smoke, you're a smoker and you were here. This strategy can help you if it's about gambling, if it's about chemsex, if it's about cocaine. And what makes chemsex so complicated is that chemsex, you can have cravings for sex, cravings for drugs, cravings for intimacy, cravings for connection, cravings for excitement, cravings for escapism. There are many, many elements involved. So we need to prepare this strategy because it's very likely that you are going to have cravings. So we need to get ready here. So we're going to go through the first list. It's good things of using. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start to tell you what some people say. And if you agree with that, you please note it down. For example, I would say some people say that sex on chems is more intense. And if you agree, please write it down. We will come back later to this list. But what we are going to do now is to put information together. Okay? It's important that you understand that this is not about why are you doing this. This is not, for example, I'm going to ask you, some people say that they like the rush when they slam, for example, and someone would say, yes, I like that, but I don't do chems because of that. Fair enough. We are not exploring why you do chems. We are exploring things that you like, okay? Even if it's a little bit, maybe you say, well, now that you say that the rush is something that I like, I never thought about it, but it's true. Please put it in this list, okay? This first list can be a little bit triggery because we are going to explore things that you might like. Please carry on with the exercise. Don't think, oh my God, this session is going to be very, very difficult for me because I'm going to get lots of triggers if I attend to this workshop. We are just collecting information, and this information is very, very important. So please don't be scared. We know what we are doing, and I highly encourage you to wait until the end. You will understand why this is so important, okay? So I hope you will have a piece of paper. As I said, it doesn't matter if it's about chemsex. It doesn't matter if it's about sex. It doesn't matter if it's about cigarettes. It doesn't matter about anything. We are going to talk about cravings, but the good things of using, obviously, they will be more connected to chemsex. So some people say that sex on chems is more intense. So if you agree with this, please note it down. If you disagree, please ignore it, okay? So some people say that one of the things about using chems is that they forget about their problems. It's a way to escape. I have lots of problems. You know what? At this weekend, I'm just going to get crazy. I don't want to think about my boss. I don't want to think about my partner. I just want to forget about everything. So escapism, and this is something that many people like. Some people like that chems make them feel more confident. So I have some Tina, for example, and I like because I feel confident, nothing bad is going to happen to me. And I like that feeling. Maybe I don't do chems because of that, but this is something that I enjoy. Some people like it because it's very easy to meet people. So you go on Grindr, and then you are invited to a party, and you go there and you can make friends and you can meet people, and maybe you could meet someone special, or maybe not. Maybe you don't want to meet anyone special, but for many people, it's something very, very exciting, and they like that, you know? And some people like it because chems help them to cope with loneliness. Maybe I'm not going to meet anyone. Maybe I'm going to be the whole weekend watching porn on my own, and I'm not going to be, I'm not planning to meet anyone, or maybe I cannot find anyone in my area. But the alternative, if I don't do this, is that I'm going to feel the whole weekend miserable and feeling lonely, and I don't want to feel like that. And chems are a very good way to cope with loneliness, you know. And some people like it because when they do chems, they feel more adventurous with less inhibitions. They are open to try new things. They are not worried about guilt or shame or anything like that. They just are open to try and feel this thing. They go to a house and they get naked quickly and they don't care if they can go naked around the house with strangers and not a problem. And some people like it because chems allow them to have the kind of sex they like. For example, maybe I love getting fat, I'm a bottom, but I can't relax enough. But when I'm on chems, it's very easy it's very easy for me to be a bottom or to do fisting or any kind of sex, whatever sex you like. You see, without chems, it's very easy for me to have that sex that I like, but with chems, I find it much easier. And some people like it because chems make them feel sexy and attractive. And I'm sure maybe some of you have been 2-3 days without sleeping, and then you go to the bathroom, to the toilet of someone's house, and you look at the mirror and you haven't slept, and you look at the mirror and think, you know what, I'm actually very sexy. And if someone took a picture of you and you saw the picture 3 days later, you would kill for having that picture deleted. But at that point, it's very nice to be feeling sexy and attractive and not being aware of maybe that I am fat or that I am old or that I am whatever. And something else that some people like is that they like long sessions. They say, I don't like to fuck for 20 minutes. I like to go, I like to relax, a little bit of sex, a little bit of fun, chatting and sharing and meeting people. So I don't like, this is also something that I'm sure you know, Grindr. People say, no, I like long session. It's actually like a very good way to explore if the other person is doing chems, because you say, well, if he is doing chems, he will understand what I'm talking about. So some people like long sessions, and some people like it because it's exciting, it's fun. You don't know what is going to happen. Maybe you are waiting for someone to come and you say, where are you? Yes, I'm going. And you are, maybe you're cleaning the house, and maybe you're very excited because you think, well, who knows what is going to happen? And it's fun. And I like that about chemsex. So if that's something that applies to you, please put it there. And also, some people like it because of the rush I was mentioning before, someone who slams, who said, you know, I like the first 10 minutes, it's amazing, it's boom, you feel the rush in your veins. Or maybe you smoke, or maybe you like the rush when you are smoking tina, or you are doing some lines of cocaine, and you start to feel that they start to work, drugs work, and you start to feel that there is a change between how you were feeling before and how you are feeling now. And some people like that a lot. And then some other people, or maybe the same people, they like it because it helps them to relax. Maybe I have lots of stress and my life is I have lots of anxiety. You know, this weekend I'm just going to, they're going to go to a house and fine, I don't give a shit about anything. And now it's time for me to relax. And some people like it because they like getting validation when I'm using them with other people. So they like when someone says, my God, I love how you kiss, or your skin is amazing, or you're fantastic. And that makes them feel very, very validated. And I think it's very powerful for people as well. And some people like it because of the deep connection that sometimes we get with certain people, not with everyone, but sometimes when you connect with someone, it's a little bit like if you were in love, and we know it's not true, we know whatever, but at that point, maybe that connection is something that is not in your life because you feel very disconnected, and it's nice. And some people like it because of the ritual, the ceremony. Again, I don't do games because of that, but I like when someone is coming, you want some tea? Yes, I want this, or I'm going to slam. So I put the needles there and we start to put everything ready. We said, you know what? It's a very nice part of this. And I like it. I like the ritual. I like the ceremony. And some people like it because they feel more energized. And maybe I'm very tired, but I'm going to take something and I start to feel again, I'm full of energy and I love this feeling. So if you agree with this, please note it down. Also, some people like it because this sense of belonging to a group, maybe it's not a group that you would introduce to your mom, but well, you are not the only one, and you can be yourself, and you can be naked, and maybe you are in a party and you are accepted, you are part of that, and you belong to something. And especially if there is a big disconnection, this can be very powerful. And some people really enjoy that because maybe in their daily life they have this sense of complete disconnection. And sometimes people like it because it helps to cope with boredom. So maybe I feel bored, I have nothing to do. So I go on Grindr and start to check who is there. And then I think, well, I have nothing to do. I don't have any plan for this weekend. I'm just going to get crazy. And yeah, because what is my alternative? I'm going to be here bored with nothing exciting. And finally, some people like it because chems make them feel hornier. And when they do chems, they like that because they say, well, it's the only time when I feel horny and I can really get ready to fuck. So this is all for now. I don't know, guys, if there is any question. Justin?
Yes, there is a question. The question is, do you think that I'll be dealing with cravings the rest of my life?
Well, I have a very, very, very good news for everyone. Cravings is something that we are going to experience when we are actively using. I'm sure that you know people who they have been heavy smokers and then at some point they stop and they know that they have to go through a period, maybe 2-3 weeks, that is going to be very difficult and it's going to have complicated because I connect my cigarette to my breakfast, when I'm on the phone, when I'm watching TV, when I am celebrating, when I'm in a pub with my friends. So we know that for 2-3 weeks is going to be complicated, but if you get over this period, things become more and more manageable. And this is important because it's not that am I supposed to spend the rest of my life having cravings? Sure, you know lots of people who used to smoke, and you ask them, do you miss cigarettes? And they say, oh my God, no way. Maybe in New Year, I think I would smoke one, but no, the money that I spend, and it's disgusting. And I can tell you guys, it's exactly the same. I haven't done chem since 2000, I don't know if it's 2016 or 16. And I never have cravings, never. And when I stopped, I was using practically daily then. And when I stopped, I had lots of cravings initially. But one of the things that helped me was precisely that I prepared very powerful strategy for me to be able to address the cravings were going to come, to be able to get over this period. And with chems, it's exactly the same. So that is why it's so important that we work on this today. Okay? So I don't know, Justin, is there anything else or we can move on?
You can move on. That's it for now.
Thank you. So we are going to go now to the opposite question, bad things of using. We are going to do the same. I'm going to tell you what people say. And if you agree, you note it down. If you disagree, you forget about it. Okay. So one of the things that some people don't like is the calm down. Say, I really, really don't like, because when I use, I hate the calm down. And some people don't like it because they can see that their levels of anxiety, they go up during or after. We are talking about during things that you don't like during or after. You could say, I don't like because when I'm high, I am very anxious, or maybe I don't feel very anxious when I'm high. I feel very anxious the days after. So one of the things that I don't like is that my levels of anxiety, they go up very, very high. Some people, what they don't like is that they feel very depressed, and probably after, and very sad. What's the point of all this? I feel hopeless. I'm feeling very, very depressed, and it's something that is really, really, it's a really dark place. And some people don't like it because of all the money that they spend. It can be spending money on drugs. It can be spending money maybe in sex workers. Maybe when people come to my place, I start to invite everyone to everything. And I go to the shop and I buy Coca-Cola and I buy food, and when I realize I am spending lots of money that maybe I can afford, but I'm not happy. Or maybe I cannot afford, and I realize that when I get high, I don't know what I'm doing with my money, that I don't think about tomorrow, and is affecting my life very much. And some people, something else, something that people don't like is the impact that chems and chemsexes are having on their professional lives, studies, work. Maybe I miss days at work. Maybe I'm not productive. Maybe it's not affecting, no one is noticing, but I know that I'm not 100% and I'm not happy. Or maybe it's starting to be a problem, or I can see that this can become a problem, or I'm going to be fired soon, or I got fired because of that, and now I can't find a job because my mind is not in the right place to even to look for another job. And some people don't like it because they see themselves with no motivation. Maybe after it's not motivation even to cook, to clean the house, to find a job, to meet a friend. I just want to sleep. I don't have any motivation because what kind of life is this? And some people don't like it also because chems and chemsex are affecting their relationships. Maybe they let friends down, or maybe they are lying to friends. They don't answer messages on WhatsApp, and then people say, "Where are you?" Yes, and then I see myself always lying, always with excuses, like living a secret life. Or maybe my friends, they don't want to know anything from me. Or maybe I feel that I prefer not to make plans with my friends, because if I let down my friend 2 months ago for lunch and he was waiting for me and I didn't even cancel, I prefer not to make plans because I don't want to do the same to him. So it's affecting relationships, maybe with your partner, maybe with your friends, maybe with your family, with your mom, with your father, with your brothers, with your children, with your children. And some people don't like it because they feel terribly guilty. And when we talk about guilt, for example, I give you an example. I feel guilty because I was supposed to meet my friend for lunch on Saturday, and I didn't go. And I feel horrible. Or maybe I have a very important meeting tomorrow at work, and I am a disaster. I can't really go with that, and I feel lots of guilt. And some people don't like it because chems and chemsex, they put them in very risky situations. So you open your house to who knows whom, or maybe you are very high in the middle of the street, anything can happen. Or maybe you talk too much when you are high, and you don't know who you are sharing with, that you work here in this place, and you allow people to film you or to take pictures. And when you realize, I say, my God, I'm going to, one of these days, I'm going to have problems because I'm taking lots of risk. And some people don't like it because they feel exhausted. Probably afterwards, more, and at the end of the session, to the point that they can't just leave the bed and they just need to survive because that's they don't have energy to do anything. And some people don't like it as well, also because sex can be very frustrating. I say, okay, I go there and maybe I'm with someone who I want to get fucked and that guy cannot even get a hard on. Or maybe I'm supposed to be the top and someone is expecting me and I cannot get the hard on, or I never come. When I'm high, I need to go home and I need to end up watching porn on my own because I never find a way to ejaculate. Or maybe I'm very, very horny and I want to have sex with someone, but that person that is he only wants to speak and to talk. And so sex is very, very frustrating sometimes, you know. And some people don't like it because chems affect their sleeping terribly. So maybe I don't sleep for 2-3 days, and then I can't do anything else apart from sleeping the next week. And my routine, my sleeping is a mess. I can have a normal night's sleep. It's always, maybe I have to end up taking G to fall asleep because I can find a way to fall asleep. And some people don't like it because they neglect themselves. No drinking, no food for days. I don't clean the house. I don't have the energy. So maybe I go and sleep in the same bed where people have been having sex and I just can't do anything or don't brush my teeth. So we are talking about self-neglect. And some people don't like it because they become someone who they don't like. So, you know, when I do chems, I'm very mean, or I talk too much, or I'm always trying to whatever, because it can be. I'm sure that some of you now think, yes, it's true. I like who I am when I'm not on chems, but when I'm on chems, I become someone who I don't like. And some people don't like it because they see that chems are taking them to a very isolated place, isolation. So maybe they realize that the only people who they really interact are people who they do chems with, and sometimes it's not even the same people, and you don't repeat. And that's the only connection you have. We receive lots of emails from people who say, I need to talk to someone because I cannot talk about this with anyone. And for many people, isolation is a very, very, very powerful thing. Some people don't like it because no exercise, no gym, I don't have an active life. I feel horrible because I don't go to the gym. I say, okay, again, so I don't do anything, my active life, I don't do any exercise or gym. I love tennis and I haven't played tennis in 3 months. And I feel horrible about that. And some people don't like it because it's affecting the way how chems affect their look. So maybe my skin is very dry. I have dark circles here, my eyes. Maybe I look very tired. I have more wrinkles, and I realize that this is impacting on my appearance a lot, and I don't like it. And some people don't like it because they feel terribly ashamed. And when we talk about shame, is, for example, oh my God, what did I do the other day? I was having sex with that guy, and I do things that now I regret. Or maybe I'm ashamed because I'm always lying to friends and I'm always pretending and what kind of life I'm living. So shame can be a very important part of this as well. And sometimes people don't like it because they have a very poor sexual health, which means that maybe it's the 4th time this year I got gonorrhea, Or I hate when someone is sending me a message saying, hey, you should go to the clinic because I got tested positive for syphilis. Or maybe I got HIV because I didn't care and I was playing with no protection, no PrEP, no anything. And my sexual health is very poor when I'm on chems. And some people don't like it because they can't organize to do, or they can't organize their lives, and they can do the things that they have to do, which is time management. For example, this weekend I need to study for my exam that I have on Tuesday. I have lots of things to do. I need to fix this. I need to go to the dentist, or it's impossible. I can't see myself making plans because I cannot manage my time. And some people don't like it because it's affecting their mouth. So they can be maybe biting their teeth and grinding, and maybe they end up biting their tongue, and the days later they can't even eat because it's painful, and I said, I can't stop biting my lips. So there is an impact in people's mouths sometimes, and sometimes this impact is in the nose, especially people who snort drugs. When you do lots of cocaine, you cannot even breathe because it's like if you have bricks here. Or methadone is painful when you snort. So sometimes it can be very, very annoying and very upsetting. And something else that people don't like is the paranoia. I say, when I do chems, I start saying that everyone is checking on me or my devices, or I don't want to, I'm scared of people following me. So for many people, this is a big problem. It can be during, or it can be during and after, again. So if you are familiar with this, please note it down. And some people don't like it because sometimes they get close to have panic attacks. So they cannot really manage emotions. And maybe if something happens and I feel very stressed when I am coming down, I just can't deal with that. Or maybe I'm in the office and my boss comes to me and I have to do two things at the same time, and I just can't deal with that. I need to go to the toilet to cry in the cubicle because I just can't deal with that. So sometimes people, one of the things they don't like either is that they have this sense of wasting time. So I was the whole Sunday in that house. I didn't do anything. I didn't even like the guy. And with all the things I have to do, so wasting time. And some people don't like it because they become unreliable. And unreliable is that, what we discussed before, I cannot make plans. I don't know if someone invites me to go for lunch on Saturday. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to be there. So I really hate being unreliable because that's not my nature. And some people don't like it because they end up overthinking, hyperanalyzing everything, checking, why did this guy say this to me? Why this is happening? Why this is not happening? And I said, I can't really have a break because it's boom, 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 constantly. And sometimes people don't like it because they become irritable. And if someone tells them something, I get angry very, very quickly. I get upset for nothing. And I really don't like that because that's not me. But when I do chems, maybe after more than during, but this is affecting my life a lot. Some people don't like it because it's affecting their memory. So they forget things. They cannot even remember, for example, when was the last time I had some G, or maybe I was supposed to meet someone today and I forgot. So it's something memory loss, memory problems is also an issue for many people. Sometimes this is about problems with concentration. I find it very difficult to focus. I watch a movie and I don't know who is who, and I say, my God, where is my mind? Or I try to read something and I can't really focus. Someone is talking to me and I don't know where my mind is because I don't feel present. And some people don't like it because it's affecting their speech. So maybe they are high and it's very frustrating because you try to say something and you can't, you really, really can't. And this is single, my God, people are going to think I'm stupid and I know what I want to say, but I cannot, I don't know how, I can't really express what I want to say. And some people don't like it because they feel that they are losing any respect for themselves, lack of self-respect. And I said, I don't respect my body, I don't respect my house, I don't respect my friends, I don't respect anything in my life. And I really don't like that. And some people don't like it because this is affecting their self-esteem. That's why we're working on self-esteem here. And I end up seeing myself as a junkie. And I am the worst friend ever because my friends are upset with me and I'm letting them down all the time. And I promise them I'm not going to do it and I do it again. And I'm terrible at work and I feel that I'm just a junkie because everything that I do and everything is wrong and is bad and I'm constantly hurting people I love. And sometimes people don't like it because of compulsivity. Maybe I can't stop scratching my skin, or maybe I can't stop on Grindr. I go on Grindr, I can be there for hours, and maybe someone is telling me, can you please stop with the phone? And you leave the phone there for 2 minutes, but immediately, boom. Or maybe you see yourself watching porn for hours and hours and hours, and you can't stop, and it's compulsive. You cannot really control it, and it's happening, and it's very, very, it's not nice. And something else that people don't like is that I don't have time for hobbies. I don't read, I don't play tennis, I don't do anything that I like. I realize that chems are also taking away my hobbies from me. And also, some people don't like it because of the smell and the taste. Maybe I really don't like my smell of my body. Even if I have 2-3 showers, it doesn't matter. I really, really don't like how my body smells or the taste of the drugs. And I have to be trying to chewing gum because I can't get rid of this taste. And some people don't like people who slam. They don't like it because they have very poor injecting practices. So I don't know what I'm doing. I allow people to do it to me, but I have infections and I have wounds and I cannot really, sometimes I cannot even move the arm because this is a disaster and I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes people don't like it because sometimes they see others who are really, really struggling. And it's really sad to someone who's very paranoid and someone who is very young, and you go to their house and it's a disaster and you think, oh my God, this guy is even worse than me. And it can be very traumatic to see certain situations. And sometimes one of the things that people don't like is that they end up having sex with people who they don't even like. And they think, what am I doing? I would never have sex with this person if I wasn't high. And why am I doing this? Why, when I'm on chems, I'm doing this? And some people don't like it because they hate when people tell them, oh my God, you look horrible. What's up? What's wrong? Are you okay? And you think, please don't mention the way how I look. I know I look horrible, but please don't tell me, please. And it's it's not very nice. And sometimes something that people don't like is that they see themselves having some kind of suicidal ideation, not necessarily because I'm going to kill myself, but I think, you know what kind of life is this? I'm not sure I want to live this life. This is not something that I wish I was dead. If I was dead, I wouldn't be living this life. And sometimes people don't like it because chems and chemsex can be an obstacle for them to achieve their dreams. Maybe So I would do a course if I could, or I would ask for a promotion, or I would change my job, or I would move to another house because this house, but I can't. Cancer is keeping me stuck in this place. And something that some people don't like it is because they don't know how all this is going to affect them long term. So they say, well, I know that I am taking lots of risk. I don't know the impact in my mental health, in my health in general, in my future, in my professional life. So this is the second list, bad things of using, consequences. I don't know, Justin, if there is anything, any.
Yes, we do have one question. It's why does it seem like I forget the dark place that I end up every time I use chems, and I end up going back to it after 2 or 3 weeks since my last episode?
This is what we are doing today. Why cravings work the way they work? One of the things that happens when we have cravings is that we forget consequences. If we want to deal with cravings effectively, we have to remember that everything that we're talking today is something that we are going to forget because we have very bad memory. So this is how cravings work. We tend to forget and we tend to glamorize the good things of using. We will explore this very, very soon. So we go to list number 3. List number 3 is good things about not using. I don't know how long, what is the longest period when you haven't used. It could be maybe 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months, let's say in the last 2 years. 2 months, 4 months, 3 months. So the question is good things of not using, and I'm going to tell you some ideas here, and I want you to see. If I don't do chems, for example, if I don't do chems in 2-3 months, my sleeping will be better. So if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, my sleeping will be better than when I'm using chems. So if you agree with this, please note this down, please. Better sleep. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, my mental health will be much better than when I'm using. If I'm using this 2-3 months, my mental health is a mess, but if I don't use good things of not using, one of the good things is that my mental health will be in a better place. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will be more careful with what I eat, my diet, nutritional needs. I will eat every day, a few meals. So good things of not using, I give my body the food that my body needs. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will feel very proud of myself. Good things of not using, I will be very proud of myself. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, my finances will be in a better place. Even if I have lots of money, my finances will be where I want my finances to be, and not spending money in lots of things that maybe I can't afford or maybe later I regret. So if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will be reliable. I won't be scared if my friend invites me to go for lunch, or if it's my friend's birthday and he invites me to go for dinner. So good things of not using, I will be reliable. I will be able to attend my duties and my commitments. And good things of not using, if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will have more clarity of mind. I will be able to make right choices. I will be able to assess what I want for my life. I will be able to see, well, this is not what I need, this is not what I want, and I will have control. So if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will go to the gym, I will do exercise, I will be more physically active, and I will be very happy with that. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, my health in general, mental health, sexual health, physical health, will be clearly in a much better place. So, but good things of not using health, I will be healthier. And good things of not using, I will have time for hobbies. I would be able to play tennis, or I will be able to read a book, or I will be able to go to a museum, or I will be able to play Monopoly with my friends if that is what I enjoy. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will have the space to reinforce meaningful relationships. I will be able to see friends who I love, or I will be able to make new friends, or I could maybe think about dating someone. If I don't use drugs in a few months, I could think, say, you know what, now I could, who is going to love me now? But if I don't use drugs, I could even think about that. So I could be able to work on meaningful relationships. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will look better. My skin will be fresher, I will be in good shape, and I will be, people won't tell me, you know what? And if I don't use chems in 2-3 months, I will feel more energized. I won't be exhausted all the time, or I'm high, or I'm recovering, I cannot really do anything. So I will have more energy. And I love this one. If I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will be much happier than if I have been using drugs. A big word, happiness. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will have more sense of control, because at the moment I think that I don't have any control. I cannot control my urges, my sex life, my relationships, everything is out of control. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will have time for personal development. Maybe I could do a course, maybe I could do yoga, or maybe I could go to museums, or I could go and I could learn new or practice doing something creative. So personal development. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will feel definitely more connected, because I will be able to reinforce these relationships that we spoke. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will be 100% at work, or I will be able to find a job, or I will be able to pass my exams, and I will be able to study. So I will be able to move forward. So this will have an impact in my professional life, or in university, or whatever. And if I don't use drugs in 2-3 months, I will believe in myself more, because at the moment I can't believe it. I don't think I deserve anything. I don't think I have a future. I don't think I can do anything, because I'm a mess. And if I don't use chems in 2-3 months, I will be more relaxed, and I won't be high or recovering. I will have a normal life, and I will have a better reputation, because at the moment at work, they think they look at me and say, again, he's sick again. Or my friends, they say, it's a disaster. They say, don't even try to meet him. He's going to be doing this stuff. So we have this other list. There is a list number 4, bad things of not using. This list, bad things of not using, we are going to cover this in further sessions. We are talking about cravings today, and this for this strategy that we are going to talk, we need to talk about these 3 lists. But there is a list number 4, bad things of not using. I don't know how to have sober sex. What's going to happen with my sex life? We will cover this in a session. Bad things of not using, bad things of not using. My life is going to be boring. We are going to talk about joy and chemsex in further sessions. If I don't use chems if I don't use chems, I'm going to be lonely, because I don't know anyone. We are going to talk in one of the sessions how to reconnect with the community. We discussed last year, we offered you this video, this TikTok, that explains very much how we understand the work that we do here. The work that we're doing here is precisely about, we need to make our lives exciting. We need to make our lives without chems more beautiful than we think that our lives with chems are. And this is what this program is about. This is not necessarily only about cravings and triggers. We need to start from there, because they are the obstacles that you're going to find in the first place. But the big part of the program is about helping you to make changes, okay? So we have these questions. And Justin, I'm going to move forward because I'm aware of the time.
Okay.
Okay, so we have so it's important to understand something. And when someone asks you, or someone asks me, what is chemsex? We will say, well, chemsex is you go, you take certain drugs, and then you go, you have sex. But chemsex, if you have chemsex tonight, maybe you take certain drugs and you have sex, but chemsex is also about being in a room full of people, and nobody's having sex because everyone is on Grindr. And this is chemsex. And chemsex is also that is being with someone who is very paranoid, and everything that we say, he takes in a very wrong way. So we end up thinking, I'm not going to say anything because whatever I could say is going to be a drama here. So, and that's chemsex as well. And chemsex, if you use drugs tonight, you could be, or maybe you're the one who is very paranoid and you end up hyper-analyzing everything. And why is this guy asking me this? Or maybe who is someone on Grindr who is asking certain questions, and then you start, and you realize that you don't feel safe. And chemsex is also being with someone who is clearly not into you, and you realize that he's maybe having sex, but he doesn't really want to have sex. He's with you because maybe he's interested in your drugs. Or maybe he wants to talk and you want to have sex, or maybe it's you the one who is with someone who you don't really like, and maybe you are there because of his drugs, and the guy is coming to you and you're, yes, and you talk and talk and talk because you don't really want to have sex. Or maybe the guy is fresh, but you have been 2 nights awake, and you are tired and you are not, and maybe that person is expecting you to give him sex and you can't. Or maybe it's the other way around. And chemsex is also being with someone who you go, he comes to your house with a bag and it's all over the place, and he's taking lots of things from that bag, and you say, can you please come here to the bed? Yeah, give me a second. And he's always doing something. And you say, what the fucking hell is this guy doing? And maybe it's you that you go and you are all over the place and you can't really stop because you can't control yourself. And chemsex is also being with someone who maybe he goes to the bathroom and you don't know what he's doing, and you knock the door and say, hey, where are you? Yes, I'm going. This guy, what is he doing? And this is chemsex. And if you have chemsex tonight, maybe this is what you could find. Or maybe you are in a chill out, or you're in a house and someone is passing out on G and you have to babysit that person. Or maybe it's you the one who is passing out, and when you wake up, the guy of the house tells you have to go because you have been messy and you have to leave the house, and you are in the street completely high, maybe in a bus stop checking on Grindr who else is in the area because you don't want to go home. This is chemsex, and chemsex is to be at home watching porn with lots of windows open, trying to masturbate because you are terrified of the time when you have to go to bed, but you have to go to bed because you have to go to work, and you are terrified because you think, I can't really think of the idea of putting the lights down. You try to masturbate, and maybe you cannot even get the hard on it. You cannot even get hard enough to masturbate. And chemsex is being in a chill out when people are bitchy, and then they start saying, look, this guy, you see, and then at some point you see that someone is very, very annoying and they ask him to go, or maybe they come to you and say, sorry, but I think you have to go, and you look at everyone thinking no one is going to say anything, and you have to get dressed and you have to go. So if you use drugs tonight, we have chemsex tonight, anything could happen. It's not that, okay, I'm going to have chemsex because I want to take drugs and I want to have sex. Yes, but the reality is a different thing. So we are going to go now to list number 1. And what we are going to do, I want you to think of what is the longest session, not the longest, not the shortest, an average session. You know, normally when I play, it's for 24 hours, since you start until you go to sleep. So it's not, I go to a chill out and then I go home only for 12 hours, and then I go home and I am at home until I sleep for 12 hours. And maybe you are watching porn. That is also chemsex. So I want you to think of, on average, how long a chemsex session lasts since you start until you go to sleep. Okay? And I don't want you to think about the best session ever, but I don't want you to think of the worst session ever. I want you to think an average, the last one or the previous one, a normal one. So we go to the first number, to the list number 1, and we said that sex is more intense. And I would like you guys to assess over all the hours that your session lasts until you go to bed, not the best session or the worst, how many of these hours are you actually having very intense sex? Okay? So for example, if your session since you start until you go to sleep is 24 hours and you say it's 1 hour. Okay, an hour is, I don't know, I think it's 5% of the time. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at maths. But let's put the percentages. Okay, since I start until I stop, sex is very intense for 5% of the time, 10% of the time, whatever you are having when you, whatever the time you enjoy very intense sex. Okay, those who say that they forget about their problems, again, let's say that is 24 hours, 48 hours. How many of these hours you don't care about anything? You don't care about tomorrow. You are away from any problem. You are in a different world, problems free. And again, if you could calculate how many of these hours, what the percentage of these hours compared to the length of your session, please note it down. So put there 20%, 25%, 50%, 100%, whatever. Okay. I feel more confident. So again, how many of these 24, 48, 36, 12, 7 hours, how many of these hours you actually feel more confident? And feeling confident is actually relevant, because maybe if you are in a bus stop on Grindr or you are watching porn, feeling more confident is irrelevant. Maybe it's very relevant when you go to the house of someone and you're a little bit, or maybe you say, no, when I am on chems, I feel very confident all the time, and it has, for me, all the time is relevant. Then put 100%. Okay. So we also say that it's easy to meet people. I'm going to ask you another exercise. If you made a list of all the people who you have met in a chemsex session, let me start. The couple, I'm going to say areas in London because it's where I live. The couple in Elephant and Castle who had a sling in their living room. The chill out in Stratham where the guy, where I pass out, and you put everyone who you remember. The Polish guy who was in this, the Brazilian guy who, whatever. All the people who you remember. And they were 100. With how many of them would you like to meet again? So this is to meet people less. And when I use chems, one of the things I like is that is to meet people, let's explore our experience. So percentage, again, how many of these 100 you would like to see again? And it helps, next one, it helps to go with loneliness. How many of these 24, 36, how many of these hours you feel connected, and how many of these hours you think, I'm the loneliest person in the world? Maybe you're watching porn, or maybe you are in a place where you don't feel, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. So how many of these hours you feel lonely, and how many of these hours you feel connected? Less inhibitions, feeling more sexually adventurous, again, 36 hours, 7 hours, 20 hours, the number of hours you have. How many of these hours you're feeling very adventurous with less inhibitions, and you are actually enjoying that? Again, if you are watching porn, maybe it's not very relevant, or if you are cleaning the house, but if you think that 100%, please put 100%. Okay. So the next one that we say was that chems allow me to have the kind of sex I like, whatever that sex is. So in question, how many of these hours you are actually having the kind of sex you like. Not the best session, not the worst session, and not an average session. How many, think about the last one, how many of these hours I was actually enjoying the kind of sex I like. And chems make them feel sexy and attractive. Again, same question, 24 hours, 48 hours, how many of these hours you feel sexy and attractive? And how many of these hours is it relevant to feel sexy and attractive, or you just don't feel like that? So you know what, maybe it's all the time. Even when I'm watching porn, I feel very sexy and attractive. Fair enough, 100%. No, it's just in the beginning, or it's just when I'm meeting people. But when I meet everyone and after 2 hours, I don't care, and I try all the job straps, and I put makeup, and I don't care if I look good or if I don't really care. And the next one, I like long sessions. This is a very important one. I don't know how your sessions last, but I'm going to ask you, if you could set up a time where you could say, my ideal chemsex session would last 10 hours. And after that, if it's more than 10, I would be thinking, that was too long, that was too much. Or less than that, we say, it wasn't enough. So at some point, you could click a button, and you would be sleeping. How long that period of time is compared to how your long sessions are. For example, I could say, well, in an ideal world, my perfect session would last 10 hours, but my real session, they last 48, 38, so maybe it's 20% of the time. Okay, and it's exciting. Next one is exciting, is fun. How many of these hours is actually exciting and it's fun, and you are really, really enjoying this? I say, my God, this is the best time ever. How many of these 24 or 48 is drama, is problems, is boredom? What am I doing here? So how many of these hours is about fun and joy, and how many of these hours is about anything else? Okay, and then we go to the rush. When I slam, how many of these hours you are enjoying that rush? You say hours, maybe the first, some people it's the first 10 minutes. I like that, but it's the first 10 minutes. And it's helping them to relax. The next one, if you put that there, please check 24, 10 hours, 24, 36, 48. How many of these hours you feel relaxed? And how many of these hours you are worried, you are stressed, you think, oh my God, we are running out of drugs, or this guy is a disaster, or what am I doing? Take the percentage and let's put it down. And then getting validation when we use them with other people. Again, how many of these hours you are actually feeling validated, and you feel that you are wanted, and people want you, and people are very happy with having you there, or maybe you are ignored at some point, or there is no connection. I'm talking about connection. I talk about this deep connection that you sometimes you feel. Again, the same list, 100 people who you have met, with how many of them you got this deep connection, and with how many of them you didn't really connect that deep. Again, we know it's not real, but at least while it's lasting, it's a nice thing. And we also say, I feel more energized, and I like that. You said that. How many of these hours, 23, 24, 10 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 15 hours, 20, 36 hours, how many of these hours you are energized? And how many of these hours you realize that your body is telling you, hey, being too much? And again, note it down, the percentage. And a sense of belonging to a group. If you could remember all the sessions where you have been, in how many of these sessions you were happy because you belonged there, and in how many of them you thought, I don't belong there, that's not my place, that's not my people, I would never be with those guys. And also is helping to cope with boredom. Again, 24 hours, how many of these hours you are not actually thinking, this is bored. I hear many times from our clients, I get bored and then I go from one party to another because I get bored very, very easily. And the last one is feel hornier. How many of these hours you feel horny in percentage? So this is important because, as you can see, I don't know what is what you said. I'm sure that there are some of you that have said to some of these things very low scores. It's interesting because one of the things when we have cravings is that we tend to glamorize. I'm going to use chems because I want to have very amazing sex. I'm going to use chems because I want to meet people. I'm going to feel lonely, or I'm going to meet sex because I want to celebrate, or I'm very stressed at work. And if I do chems with things of using, I will feel more relaxed. So it's very important to take this into account because one thing is our experience and something else is what we get, our expectations. And it's very important because when we have cravings, one of the things that happens is that our expectations look very glamorous. But the reality is that it's not that glamorous. Chemsex is not just having drugs and have sex. Chemsex is being with a guy who is paranoid, or maybe it's you the paranoid, or maybe it's, someone is passing out on G, or maybe you are with someone who you don't like. That is chemsex. But let's go to list number two. List number two, bad things of using. This is important because we need to measure this in a different way. Even if my session was 24 hours, for example, and I got 100%, let's say, for example, in exciting sex, the 100% of the time would be the 24 hours because the 25th I will be sleeping. But we need to measure this in a different way because if you notice, good things of using list number one is always about short term. I want this and I want this now. Maybe I don't get that, but I make the decision of using, thinking short term. But if you notice, list number two is actually medium or long term. If I lose my job, that's not going to last 24 hours. If I have problems with my friends, even my calm downs or problems with money, that's going to affect my life long term. So we have to measure this in a different way. So what I'm going to ask you now is, is number two, but things of using, if you said calm down, if you use drugs tonight, how likely is that you will have a calm down in 2, 3, 4 days? So you say, yes, I always have a calm down with 100%. No, sometimes I have a calm down. Sometimes I don't, 80%, 70%, whatever, okay? Anxiety, if you use drugs tonight, how likely is that this will affect your levels of anxiety during or after? So you could say, well, it's 80% of the time. We have depression. How likely is that you will feel depressed afterwards? And the money that you spend, how likely is that you spend money that you say, oof, I shouldn't have spent that money. And how likely is, so because I'm aware of the time, you can do this, you can answer this question yourselves. How likely is no motivation? How likely is that this will affect your relationships? Guilt, exhaustion, putting yourself at risk, sleeping problems, the impact in the way how you look, poor sexual health, your mouth, overthinking, unreliable, all the things that you have. How likely is, because it's interesting. If I use chems tonight, I don't know what is going to happen short term, but I can really describe very well how my next week is going to be about, because I have been there many times. I know that I'm going to feel tired. I know that I'm going to be having problems at work. I'm going to be maybe not answering messages on WhatsApp to my friends. I know that I'm going to. So we could actually describe how our next week is going to be. But we can do the same with list number three. List number two and list number three, some people could say, well, it's the opposite. It's not really the opposite. You could say, well, if I use chems, I feel guilty and ashamed. If I don't use chems, I feel proud of myself and I feel happier. There is a double benefit here, because if I feel proud of myself and happier, that's a very nice thing. But also it's very nice not to have to be feeling guilty and feeling ashamed. And this is a very important thing, because sometimes we think, well, what's the point of stopping chems if I don't really, the only thing I'm going to do is to lose things, because I'm going to feel lonely, because my sex life is going to be boring, because I'm going to be I'm going to feel bored. So it's very important to understand, if we want to have if we want to deal with cravings effectively, we need to find reasons why it's important for us to manage these cravings effectively. And this is important because we can also promise ourselves, if I don't use drugs this weekend, next week I'm going to be productive at work. If I don't use drugs this weekend, I'm going to be able to go to the gym. If I don't use drugs this weekend, and it's practically guaranteed. So it's very important because, as I said before, we are going to have cravings. And it's important to understand you are going to have cravings forever, but when we have cravings, there are three things happening. One is, list number one looks very glamorous. I like to use the similarity of cravings, when we used to watch cartoons and you saw The Simpsons, for example, and you see Bart Simpson, who is thinking of doing something naughty, and then it's ping, a little angel here, ping, a little devil here, with no religious element here, obviously. And then when we have cravings, one of the things is going to happen is that list number two is irrelevant. No, this time is going to be different. Let's say that I could use chems this weekend. Little angel, no, don't use chems because you're going to have a countdown. Little devil, no, this time you have countdown because your session normally lasts very long. But if you play on Friday and you play for a few hours and then you sleep tomorrow, and on Sunday you can spend the whole day resting, on Monday you will be fresh and you will go to work. This time is going to be different. I'm sure that you have seen yourselves in that situation, and I want to ask you, how many of these times when you have the little devil telling you this Monday, no, this time is going to be different? How many Mondays you go to work like if nothing had happened? It's important because this is what happens when we have cravings. We have this dialogue, and we have the little devil who is telling us, this time is going to be different. This time, but you're going to spend lots of money, little angel, little devil. No, this time, no. What you have to do is, instead of buying 3 grams of tina, buy just 1 gram, or try to go to someone who has already drugs. Or maybe the little devil, the craving is telling you, go to this place and just have gin. Don't have tina. Tina is the bad one. Tina is the bad one. Don't have tina. And then you go there, and the little devil says, okay, gin's nice, but just a couple of puffs, just to be in the same level. Just a couple of them. And how many times you went to a place with this idea of only a couple of puffs to get to the same level, but when you try once or twice, you say, whatever. So it's important because this is going to happen. We will have a very glamorous list number one, a very irrelevant list number two, because we will see very manageable. You will have the little devil telling you, you have already gone through lots of countdowns in your life, and you always manage, and it's always, this time is going to be different. And maybe you are going to meet someone nice, glamorizing, and he's going to tell you, and you don't know how to have sober sex, and you didn't use last weekend, and you deserve it because your life is very stressful. And the little angel is saying, yes, but remember that last time, or you have to go to meet your friend Luis tomorrow for lunch. You will be there, don't worry. It's just going to be for a couple of hours. And this is what is going to happen. And guys, I am aware of the time. I'm sorry, because I know it's a very intense session, but I still have things. And I'm sorry, we will have to extend this. If you have to go, we are going to upload the video. But I can't really stop here because I have just set things on the table. And I really want to explain you the strategy. So if someone has to go, please feel free. You will be able to watch the rest of the video. Okay. So if we know that it's very likely that at some point you are going to have cravings, and when we have cravings, one of the things that happen is that you are going to forget. That was the question that someone asked before. Why am I always forgetting. This is also something that probably when you are with the calm down, you think, what's wrong with me? Why I cannot find a way to remember how this place looks like? And I'm always here, but when I have cravings, I think that this is very manageable. But when I am in this hole, I feel that this is horrible. So if we want to deal with cravings, we need to find a way, first of all, to remember what you are going to forget, because maybe today everything looks very clear, but you are going to forget this conversation. And it's very important that we put in our toolbox our strategies for when we have cravings. And this is what we are going to discuss today. We need a strategy that helps us to remember what we are going to forget. We have a strategy that can help us to put in perspective what we're going to be glamorizing. You're going to meet up very lovely guys, and you're going to have amazing sex, and you are going to forget about your problems, and you are going to be, you like when people tell you that you have an amazing cock, an amazing ass, or an amazing whatever. So it's very important to understand we have to find a way to put things in perspective, but also we have to find a way to motivate ourselves, because there are going to be lots of very, very positive things happening. Okay, and we have very, very powerful list here. So what I'm going to ask you to do? We're going to what I'm going to ask you to do is, when we finish this session, or when you finish, if you can, I would like you to go on your phone, and I would like you to record a voice message, or a video even better, from the person who you are now, who can see the whole picture, to the person who is going to have cravings, because you are going to have cravings probably again. So what I suggest you to? I would say, for example, Ignacio, if you are hearing this message, it's because you are having cravings. And one of the things that happens to you when you have cravings is that you forget the consequences. And I'm going to tell you what happens to you. And I would go from list number 2, from the first one. I would say every time that you, and I would describe exactly how my countdown, every time that you have a countdown. When you have a countdown, this is what happens to you. You need to go to work, you need to cross the door, and you are crying because you cannot really cope with that. And then you open your computer, for example, and you have emails that you need to reply, and you have a meeting, and you cannot deal with that. And also, when you use, your levels of anxiety go very high. And I'm going to remind you, remember that day, it's very important to be very graphic. Don't forget something. I will tell you how to use this tool in a minute, but it's very important to understand that this message has to be powerful enough to convince yourself. We have this amazing list, number 2, consequences, for you to say to yourself, every time that at least you spend all this money. With this money, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. And sometimes maybe you didn't have money to pay your bills, or maybe you couldn't go to the supermarket. So you have all these lists. And the reason why I'm asking you, record a message, is because I'm sure that some of you have put it in a piece of paper, and maybe you put it in your fridge, and they become invisible. Like if you put a magnet in your fridge, and you see that, and then when you have cravings, you are not even going to think about it. So why is this so important? Because you are going to forget consequences. And what we have to do is we need to be very, very graphic, and we have to describe the situation properly. And maybe I need to record one message of 1 hour. And if this 1 hour, or maybe I record a message now is 1 hour and 20 minutes later, I remember something else, fair enough. But it's important to use list number 2, because it's guaranteed there are lots of things that are going to happen to you. And no one else is going to hear this message, so you can be as honest as you like. We have list number 3. List number 3, again, is about motivating yourself, about your dreams. What do you want to do? If you don't use this weekend, this weekend, your next week is going to be like this. You could do this, you could do that. And it's very important because, again, you will have to convince yourself, because you will be the person who is going to make the decision of using. And this is, of course, you have to know who you can call, and it's important that you know who is your friend and what things that you can do. But sometimes cravings happen when you don't expect, and maybe it's Friday evening and you have been with cravings from Wednesday. And initially they weren't very, very strong. But also we have list number 1, and it's very important that you say to yourself, I would say to myself, Ignacio, probably you would be thinking now that your sex is going to be amazing. And I'm just going to describe how your last Chemsex episode was. And the people who I met, the things I did, the time I spent, how did I see myself after 24 hours? And it's very important because, again, if you are going to make the decision, we need to get ready because you will have cravings probably. So how to use this? First of all, I'm sure that some of you think, I cannot really hear my voice because I don't like my voice. I understand that. The problem with the voice is not that we don't like our voice, it's that we are not used to hear our voice through our ear. We hear our voice through the brain. That is why it sounds different. If we were recording this, I would hear my voice and I would think, I cannot really connect how the voice that I'm used to this voice. So this is not a problem with your voice. This is a problem that you are not used to. So it's important to practice. I always recommend my clients, say, guys, I'm going to suggest you to do something. And if it's very difficult for you, I'm going to ask you to do this exercise. And it's record yourself reading something, reading the news, reading a book, reading whatever, and listen to yourself reading that, because you won't be judging what you say. You won't say, well, now I have to be saying, I have to record my voice and I don't know what to say. It's not the same that I say, because I'm going to need this exercise. I'm going to record my voice and I'm reading something else, and I'm going to start to get familiar. Sometimes people hear the audios that they send on WhatsApp. And I can tell you, I don't have any problem with my voice anymore, but for my whole life, it was a big problem. As you can imagine, those who are actors, the king, the queen, everyone who is is having a public life, they don't have any problem with this. And it's a matter of getting used to. So if my advice is, if this is a problem, practice, get ready for that. And finally, how to use this exercise. The way how cravings work is that, let's say, for example, I used last weekend and I promised myself, never again, I'm not going to do this. And at that point, the little devil is not going to be there with me. The one who is going to be there with me is the little angel telling me it's always the same. When are you going to learn? You are stupid. Last time. And you know that maybe on Monday, nothing. Tuesday, no way, I don't want. Maybe the first week, no. But at some point, maybe at some point, 8 days later, 9 days later, pim, what are you going to do this weekend? And then we say, no, I don't want to use, and we reject the craving. 1 hour later, you didn't use last weekend. You don't have that big problem that you think you have, and this time could be different. No. And then 20 minutes later, and what are you going to do this weekend? Are you going to spend the weekend watching Netflix again? And everyone is having fun but you? So, no. And if we don't do anything, and this is our strategy, it's very likely that at some point we will move from what are you going to do this weekend to, well, what I could do actually is I could call my dealer, I could meet him on Friday, I could buy this. Instead of buying 2 grams, I'm going to buy 1 gram. I could try to contact this guy. And if at that point I said to you, the little angel tells you, hey, no, don't do it, because remember you have a recording, you have a video. The little devil is going to tell you, no, don't hear the message, because this time is going to be different. This time is going to be different because you are not going to be 24 hours. This time is just going to be for a couple of hours or 3 hours or 10 hours. So don't hear that. So what is clear is, if we really want to have this effective strategy working, as soon as we identify that the little devil, what are you going to do this weekend? It's important that you go then to hear your message. And maybe I would hear myself saying, Ignacio, you're hearing this message, it's because you are having cravings, and one of the things that happens when you have cravings is that you forget the consequences. And I want to tell you what is going to happen. And I can tell you guys, if we use this strategy effectively, it can change everything. I can tell you this with lots of my clients who I have been supporting for many, many years. Lots of people, I hope that this makes sense. Lots of people, they say, I'm going to do it. I have tried everything else. I'm going to try this strategy. I don't like how my voice looks like, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to practice how I'm going to get used to hearing my voice. And as soon as people identify when the craving comes, the craving is not very, very strong. Then is when we can do something about it. If we leave the craving grow, and it's also important to have more strategies in the toolbox. What could you do? Things that you could enjoy, people who you could call. But the most important thing, we cannot forget the person who will make the decision of using it, you. And you will have cravings. And if you don't want to use, and again, this is not about stopping forever. Maybe you want to use on the 1st of May, but you don't want to use before that. And it's important because if you don't want to use drugs and you have cravings, then this strategy can help you a lot. So I don't know if anyone has questions. We don't have long time. Justin, do we have any interesting question?
No questions. We can move on.
Okay, so this is important because don't forget something. If we explained this last week, if we use between today and next week, is going to be either because at some point we have cravings, we have been discussing this now, or because something unexpected happens that triggers our need of using. For example, an argument with my friend, or I was going to meet someone for dinner on Friday and this guy cancels. Or I was very excited because I was dating someone, and then one day he contacts me and he says, you know what, I'm not ready for being in a relationship. Or maybe you get a WhatsApp invitation. We will talk about this next week. As you can see, the work that we do is very practical. It's not about just try not to. It's about we can do things. Getting over chemsex is possible. We just need to work. We need to go to the root of this. And this is important because next week we are going to talk about triggers. If any of you has a trigger that something is, you can remember. I remember my episode happened because I get drunk. And when I get drunk, I cannot control myself. Please send us an email and tell us, I would like this to be discussed next week. Or maybe it's about, I don't know how to manage when someone contacts me on WhatsApp, someone who I met in the past. Every time I get them, if I didn't get a message like that, I wouldn't use this weekend. But on Friday, I got that message and everything changed. We will talk about this. So please, you know the email address, info@Global Chemsex Toolbox. If you have any question or if you have any suggestion about a trigger that you have that you would like to explore, we will go into this. I can tell you it's going to be a very, very interesting session as well. Okay, so it's important that, and I am very aware of the time, and I'm really sorry, guys. We had to move this. We have to take this time. But as you can imagine, I needed this time to explain this. So something important as well. My advice: don't leave this for tomorrow. If you are going to record this message, do it now, because tomorrow you leave it for the day after tomorrow. The question is, maybe I'm going to record my message and then I'm going to learn how to like my voice. But the first thing is to have in my toolbox my message. Again, you're going to have cravings for drugs, for sex, for intimacy, for connection, for excitement, for escapism, for anything. And we need to get ready. Okay. And again, this is something that is important to get ready. So I don't know if you remember last week, I told you about a self-esteem exercise. One of the reasons why we have a few minutes here about self-esteem is because, as I said the other day, self-esteem is one of the first things that is affected by our chems use. And if someone, for example, doesn't know how to have sober sex, and at some point he will want to reconnect with that if his self-esteem is in a very bad place, it's going to be difficult. So we have to work on this. And last week we asked you to do an exercise that was about self-expression. How do you see yourself? How do you see yourself as a child, as a relative of my family, How do I see myself at work, in the school, in the university, in sex, my personality, my body, and my face. And I don't know, I'm sure that some of you have been working on this. When self-esteem is not in a good place, it's very normal that what is coming easily is something that we don't like. So maybe I say, how do I see my personality? And I say, I'm boring, or I am very stupid, I'm very slow, I'm not. How do I see myself in sex? I think I'm very dull, or I think I'm not exciting enough, or whatever. So if you see that it was easier for you to find negative things, obviously it's because self-esteem is not in the best place. And we need to work on that. So self-esteem, when we are born, we don't have any self-esteem. We are babies. We don't even know if this is a hand, if I am a boy, if this is my, I don't know anything. I don't have any self-esteem, and self-esteem is growing. And one of the things that is growing along the years, I don't know how old you are, someone here can be maybe 45, and say, okay, my self-esteem at 45 is not in the best place. Why? Things that have been affecting your self-esteem are the messages that you have been receiving since you were born, maybe from your mom, from your teacher, from the other kids in the school. Maybe you have been hearing messages in the school, maybe you have classes, or maybe you were very feminine and people were bullying you and you heard that for a long time and say, you are like a girl, or whatever. Or maybe it's about so it's your mom because your brother is brilliant, but you are not as brilliant, so you are the stupid one. Or maybe it's your partner who is telling you ugly things, you are stupid, or oh my god, you are so boring, you never want to do anything. You are getting these messages on and on. So we have this exercise. Jorge, can you show the exercise if you can? So in our website, you go to second session. If you go, Jorge, to, this is Chemsex course, second session. There is download exercise, is self-esteem exercise week 2. Jorge, if you can share how the exercise looks like. So when you download it, is there. I have it here if you want me to share it, but if you want me to share it, you need to. Okay, this is the exercise. If you download it, and it's what are the messages that you have been receiving from others or from yourself, and you remember that you have affected your self-esteem in the school, in your family, when you were a teenager, as a friend, as a gay man, queer person, related to your sexual orientation or gender, at uni, different jobs in relation to sex, when having sex, romantic life, when you think about your face, your body. It can be messages from other people or from yourself. Maybe you are on Instagram all the time, following lots of very sexy guys, and then your conclusion of everything is, look at these guys, I won't ever be like them, and I won't ever have a guy like that in my life. So this is very important. Again, you will have to share this with us, and it's important to understand that we have to carry on working on this program. So please feel free to download it. It's in the website. And I think, Jorge, we have, Justin, I don't know who is the video, Salina's video.
Yes, so we're going to move on. We heard a lot of great feedback from everybody last week. They really appreciated hearing these testimonials from people in our community explaining their addiction experiences, their paths to recovery. We're going to continue doing just that this week. We have a unique testimonial from someone you may recognize. Selena burst onto our screens in season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race in the United States. Building on that success, she's been releasing music and also advocating for community-led support for people struggling with their use of chems. Let's hear from Selena for 5 minutes as she tells us more about her story.
Hi Hi, you guys. Selena S. Titties here. Look, I want to talk about something very important to me. And, you know, before Selena ever was unleashed into the world, I was just Jason Dupuy, this insecure, lonely, very sexual, 19-year-old in Los Angeles. And, I, from a young age, have always been very curious about sex, and my, curiosities and even kinks lend themselves to like cruising and bathhouses and group situations that I just love. And when I was 19 years old in Los Angeles, living reckless and wild, drinking and doing weed and cocaine and partying, I ended up finding, heavier, crazier drugs in the bathhouses. And I learned that those drugs allowed me to have the crazy and wild sex that I loved, right? The sex combined with the chems, the drugs that I was using, which is called chemsex, was my way of life for like 2 years out here. And it, as high of highs there is with chemsex, there's a lot of lows that no one really talks about, and the sex that I was able to have while on drugs, there's a lot of shame that comes with that, because I was doing a lot of wild things that I probably wouldn't have done sober, but I wanted to do and explore, but I just had so much shame with it. And the shame of all of this needs to just be sucked and taken out, because there's no use in having it. But there's such a big stigma on, especially our queer community, about the sex that we have and then the drugs that we do while we have sex. There's a big conversation that people don't like to have about it, but we have to talk about it because it's such an epidemic in our community, right? It was for me when I was 19, 20 years old, running around. What ended up leading to was all my belongings in a Bed Bath & Beyond shopping cart. I was homeless, covered in abscesses, STDs, bed bugs. Like, it was a really sad, low existence. I was malnourished. I was not taking care of myself. I was lying to everyone around me just in order to have more chemsex, And these are the links that a lot of people go to and end up in with the continuation of chemsex, and not knowing that there is a way out, or a way to have a healthy sex life without the drugs that is available. Because I got sober when I was 21 years old. I met a guy at a bathhouse, and he was, sober. And I was like, do you want to do some, stuff with me? And he was like, he ended up agreeing to it because, again, it's very, magical, mystical, enticing, sexy. Not to glamorize it, but it does have that appeal, right? Especially with the sex that gets to come with it. Some people can't imagine a sex life without it. So when he had done this with me, when we came to later on, he was like, oh no, I relapsed. My sponsor's gonna kill me. And he introduced the world of Alcoholics Anonymous and sobriety to me. And at 21 years old, he invited me to a meeting, and that's when I changed my life. And today I have 12 years sober from all drugs and alcohol. But that does not mean that has to be your story. There's a lot of people who learned how to get out of a chemsex environment without having to quit everything. It's all individual to you. But thankfully, there are organizations and workshops like Global Chemsex Toolbox here to help navigate you through what you're going through in life and help regain control of your life and for your sex life as well. There's hope and there's support out there for you. Global Chemsex Toolbox provides free support via live and recorded workshops for anyone in the world. It's global, honey. So if you or someone is struggling with it, there is help and support out there. They have different strategies and life skills to help you navigate through your life and away from the chems in order to have a healthy sex life for yourself. This help and support is available to you. And I wish I had this when I was 18, 19 years old, but I'm so grateful that I got sober at 21 and was able to step away from that. And today, let me tell you, look at me, baby. Look how gorgeous and glamorous my life is. So you can just imagine what my sex life is like, okay? I have the best sex of my life without having to do the chems. And that is available for you. And all I hope is that you can have a beautiful, amazing life, and that is available. So if you're someone needs help, go reach out to Global Chemsex Toolbox for their workshops and get some help today, baby.
Excellent. Thank you, Selena, for that powerful testimony. I will hand it back over to you, Ignacio.
Okay, well, I'm sure that some of you might think, well, but that is Selena, and we are going to help you all the way. If you are struggling with isolation, if you are struggling with sober sex, if you are struggling with no lack of excitement, we are going to cover this in the course. We have been working very, very hard to be able to offer something good. And guys, we are going to help you. If you need anything, you have our email. Please feel free to contact us. If you can, as I said before, if you want to discuss your triggers, we are not going to mention you or your names. We are going to keep anonymity, and it's just the next step. We talk about cravings today. We'll talk about triggers. Okay. Between today and next week, we asked these questions last week, and it's important because these are 4 questions that it's important that you learn how to ask yourselves. We asked this last week, and we're going to ask these questions every workshop, every session. And is between today and next week, if you don't want to use between today and next week, how likely is between 1 and 10 that you are not going to use? Okay. So if someone is say, well, it could be between 1 and 10, it could be an 8, or it could be a 7. Okay, well, if it's an 8, between today and next week, when would you be more vulnerable? There is a 20% chances there, and you could say, we could be tonight, or it could be tomorrow, because on Monday I don't have to go to work. You know your lives. You know how you are going to spend this Easter season, and it's important that you assess this between today and next week. If I use when that would be, it could be when. Between today and next week, why that would be? It could be because if I feel lonely. It could be because I don't have any plan for tomorrow. It could be because I feel I'm fed up with everything, and I might be feeling that I feel horny, whatever. And the 4th question is, what can you do to prevent that from happening? If you know that you are going to be vulnerable tonight, if you know that you're going to be vulnerable tomorrow, and you know that you're going to be feeling lonely or weak or whatever, what can you do to prevent that from happening? We sent you last week, it's in the website, if you didn't download it, a list of ideas. And our advice is get ready, because sometimes there are many episodes that we could prevent if we just have a look at our experience, because sometimes we are repeating patterns and we make the decision of using because of the same reasons, and maybe some Fridays, and maybe it's because I feel lonely. So it's important to learn how to ask these questions. So we will meet next week. I hand it on to you now, Justin, but we will be monitoring this email. So anything that you need, please email us and we will help you. So Justin, over you. You're mute.
Sorry, all this completes today's educational workshop. We have 6 remaining weeks. I want to remind everyone again that the clocks will spring ahead in London next week. So we will be a little early. Sorry about this. So while London will stay at 7 p.m. 1900, the rest of us might be starting an hour earlier. Also, if you have any questions, you can email us at info@globalchemsextoolbox.com. Give us some time to answer your questions, and then please spread the word to any friends or family or loved ones who may be struggling. We're so thankful that you joined us today. We really look forward to seeing you next week as we talk about the avoiding triggers, how to identify and avoid them, and also avoid unplanned sessions. Thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next week.
See you next week. Happy Easter.